Honourable Member for Vieux Fort North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to join, Madam Speaker, my colleagues. Madam Speaker, in wishing the constituents of Vieux Fort North well on the observance of soon-to-be observed anniversary of St. Lucia's independence. And I also wish to indicate to them, Madam Speaker, as we begin a new calendar year, that I will continue to do my best to represent them in the Parliament, Madam Speaker, to ensure that they continue to get their roads fixed and other amenities. Madam Speaker, I wish, since this debate entered so many different roads, so to speak, I wish, Madam Speaker, to join this debate at the point where the member for Castries South East admitted for the first time from the government side, Madam Speaker, that governments must not operate as businesses. He admitted, Madam Speaker, in his explanation that there are projects that governments must keep even though they are making a net loss. And that was astounding, Madam Speaker, because this is the same government that continues to say, if a project is not making money, close it. So they closed Radio St. Lucia, and again the argument is that Radio St. Lucia is not making money. It's a loss-making entity, so close it. They're about to close the printry as it is, Madam Speaker. The marketing board is a loss-making entity, so close it. The Fish Marketing Corporation is a loss-making entity, so do something about it, close it. The Foisson Center, a loss-making facility, so close it. And they often speak of Beauséjour, Madam Speaker. And the member for Castries South East has some fetish with Beauséjour and myself. He indicated a while ago that Beauséjour was closed under my watch. I wish to indicate categorically, Madam Speaker, that this is not true. Again, false information, and the member for Castries South East. And he continues to make the point that cows disappeared while I was Minister for Agriculture. Madam Speaker, I wish to take this very seriously because he's suggesting that under my watch as Minister for Agriculture, there were cows at Beauséjour, and for some reason, cows disappeared while I was Minister for Agriculture. This is not true. Le moi vini ministre agricole, Madam Speaker, la pateni Beauséjour pateni bœuf. C'est bœuf là qui était en parc Beauséjour, c'est bœuf gens privé. OK? Là, monsieur qu'on gauge, et que chaque femme qui était ni bœuf en parc, et porte là. Beauséjour had no cows. The time that the dairy farm was closed at Beauséjour, Madam Speaker, I was a student in school. I was a student. So for the member for Castries South is to continue to say this. And I have asked the Minister for Agriculture to instruct him that he should stop saying those things in the House, because people will assume that as Minister for Agriculture, there were cows at Beauséjour and they disappeared when I became minister. This is not true, and I want it to be reflected in the records. When I became Minister of Agriculture, Beauséjour owned no cattle. And that is a fact. And so even though you take it as a joke, these are things that go down in the record, and I want to ensure that it's corrected. Madam Speaker, so all the things that are managed by St. Lucians, that are developed and grown by St. Lucians, must be closed because they are loss-making entities. So Radio St. Lucia nou ni pou ferme, bagay set lisien. Marketing board nou ni pou ferme, because il pa ka fè l'argent. That is what this government has been about. The fisheries complex. Nou ni pou ferme. You know one thing that is common in all of those things, Madam Speaker, is because they are managed by St. Lucians, they have St. Lucian roots. Of course, they have problems, like many things in our country. And there are many businesses, private businesses, that have problems. And the government props them up. Of course, there are businesses that have problems. But all of those entities are St. Lucian entities. But the member for Castres South East now says today that DSH, the racetrack, even though it's a loss-making entity, he said net profit, even though it's a loss-making entity, there are times when government must keep those. You know the difference between DSH and all of those St. Lucian entities? DSH is controlled by a foreigner. By a foreigner. And that's the big difference. So he admits today that there are times when government need entities, even though they are loss-making, even though they do not record a net profit. But all of the St. Lucian ones must go. But DSH is good, even though the racetrack may be a loss-making entity. He admits that today. And I have said very often, Madam Speaker, that it is for St. Lucians to look at the facts and decide. Because members opposite, especially the member for Castres South East and the Prime Minister, they tell you the things boldface. And I give that to them. They tell you the things openly and boldface. And I believe that is why the Prime Minister said that 43% of the men in the workforce didn't pass preschool. He is openly and boldface telling St. Lucians that is who you are. You men out there, that's who you are. You didn't go to primary school. And openly so, he tells you that. You didn't go to primary school. The inference there, Madam Speaker, is, so I can do what I want. I can deal with you. Because you all didn't go to primary school. You all only went to preschool. And these are the kinds of attacks, Madam Speaker, that we have on our St. Lucian-ness. And this time, the member for Castres South East explains it lucidly. That the racetrack is not making profit, we will keep it. Because there are times you need entities that don't make profit. But the others, let's go with them. And so it does not matter if Mr. Theo Aking gets Sandy Beach. I guess Sandy Beach does not make profit. Ale bola me Sandy Beach, la pa ni profi an sa. Kosa ou sa bayan amoun ni. Maria Island, la pa ni profi an sa. And oh, how he likes to giggle when you talk about those things. Because to him, Madam Speaker, those things don't matter. Those St. Lucian things don't matter to them. The Bakade area, the Il Pirata area, those things don't make profit. So let's give it to a foreigner. The whole Boseju area, the whole 350 acres. The Prime Minister has said it himself. That's just a wasteland. That ain't making no profit. So just give it to Theo Aking. The meat processing facility, they say is $11 million. And again, an untruth. They like to do that. The $21 million meat processing facility. That's not important. Let's get rid of it. Because we have a big master called Theo Aking who needs that. That is the attitude of the government, Madam Speaker. It is only the things that are St. Lucian, these are the things that we give away. Oh, you all like to talk about Rochemel. There's only one prime minister in this country that a court has ever said that they can't trust what he says. And he's sitting on the other side. In the Tuxedo Villas matter, you all like to talk about, let's talk about real things with facts. Let's talk about Tuxedo Villas. You all like to talk about Rochemel. You all went in a cabinet and say a man's home is a hotel. You all forget that? Oubliez ça? Ek lo dies la di. Mounan ki te ministre tourism la. Yo pas sa kwe sa y ka di. Yo pas sa kwe sa y ka di. We ain't forgetting that. So, Madam Speaker, the member for Castle Southeast admitted today that yes, there are things that the government must keep, even though they are loss-making entities. But all of the St. Lucian things, they are not making money, so we need to get rid of them. Also, Madam Speaker, there's a whole discussion about borrowing and the relationship to VAT. And the member said opposite, that they reduced VAT by 2.5% and so on and so on. Madam Speaker, while they do one thing on one hand, on the other hand, the Prime Minister and his minister in the Ministry for Finance, they sit weekly and figure out how to take more from the other hand. So while they reduce VAT by 2.5%, each person with a small car, a sedan, pays over $6,000 in gas taxes a year. The fishers, a fisherman who goes out to sea, or a fisherwoman who goes out to sea 4 times a week, using 3 15-gallon tanks, Sayokakuye Kings, they will pay $13,000 extra in gas taxes, the fishers. And we've calculated it over and over with them. So while you talk about removing 2.5%, you have placed the burden on the small family, the professionals, the teachers, those people who work in the banks, the children of the farmers and the fishers who can purchase a little car to take the family to hospital and to school. That's where you have placed the burden. And you calculate it. I want you to calculate it. Check the number of gallons of fuel you use a day, multiplied by $1.50, and multiply that by the fuel you use per week, per month, per year, multiplied by 12, and you'll see how much money that you have taken from the pockets of the people in gas taxes. So when you talk about 2.5% VAT, it's a flashing mirror. And I want you to go to the supermarkets and ask Mr. Jaim from Grace and Mrs. Aldonza from Bellevue how much more they are paying in groceries after you took out the 2.5% VAT. And it's the effect on the individual in the household. So I parle by ces pécheurs, Dio, ou tiye 2.5% VAT. Et comment on peut prendre la main yo en l'argent gas là, yo ka mette pour ay péché. And you can do the calculations I've said, 13,000 and this fisherman that I've used, I gave him 3 months holiday in the year. I only used 40 weeks. I didn't use all of the weeks in the year. Go and calculate it. Go to your communities. Go to Miku and Anslare and those places where you have fishers and find out how much you're taking in taxes from them on fuel. Go and do the calculations. I've done it many times with them, and they themselves are shocked. They are shocked themselves. They say, Moussa mate jamais. Moussa, ça ka presque gen un engine neuf ba moi. Ou l'année. And if you do that for 3 years, 13 multiplied by 3, you see how much money you have taken from the people who are supposed to drive the economy at the base. I don't know anything about money. And this fuel, Madam Speaker, since we are talking about borrowing and taxes, you know something? This extra road tax that you have placed is on top of the license fees and all of that you said you reduced. You did not remove it completely, you know. After all, if you put in a road tax, that's so much money. Give them a breakdown that you only remove half of the increase. When you add that to the $13,000, you see how much money you're extracting from those people. So you're flashing one thing on one side, and you are pulling out the bowels on the other side. C'est ça au café. And Madam Speaker, when we speak about borrowing and taxes, what happened to the $2 million extra on the Vanna Road? And the member for Castle South he likes it as usual, and that's I always give that to him. He tells you the thing boldface. So when he says he'll build 10 schools for his wife, you can't say he didn't tell you that. He tells it to you boldface. I give that to him all the time. He ain't hiding anything. He tells you boldface. If I had a chance, I'll build 10 schools for my wife. That's him. And he says today, works, and he smiles. Works. But, Madam Speaker, I'm happy as a parliamentarian if works are happening. All of us, everybody around this table. We all want roads. We all need things. When the member for Castle South was in opposition the last time, he was the former Minister for Communication and Works. And I saw him on TV when he was in opposition, filling in roles with barrow. Which means that when he was minister just a few years before, he didn't do all that he could have done. So it is not unusual that while we're in opposition, we still need things for our constituency. That is something all of us need. It is not unusual. He was filling in holes with wheelbarrows, and he had just left office 3 years ago or 2 years ago. So if we ask for roads, doesn't mean that we didn't do any work in our constituencies. There's always need for work. And if roads are being done, we are all very happy. We would hope that we would get works in our constituency. I'm not judging anybody yet, because I've written to the member for Castle North. I know he's a man who responds, and I'm waiting. I like to be fair. I'm waiting. And I have indicated, Madam Speaker, that everybody who pays the 150, they live all around St. Lucia. The people who live at Bellevue and Grace and Pierrot, they also pay 150 in the gas. And so I'm waiting. And so when I see people smile and say, works, I'm hoping that the works benefit all of us. Madam Speaker, the truth is, Madam Speaker, we really didn't come here to spend all of this time on this. That's the truth. But when the member goes to St. Jude Hospital, and they speak about, we said we would finish the hospital by a certain date, it wasn't finished by a certain date. Of course we said we would finish the hospital by a certain date. All of us, every single one of us, not only those from the south, because a shy moun ka fe by l'hôpital sa kwe akodi se by VA4 to sell, akodi se by Labo Wiek by Choisey to sell. God forbid, Madam Speaker, but the St. Jude Hospital serves the whole of St. Lucia. God forbid anything is to happen to any one of us anywhere around the south. That's the first place they will take any one of us. So St. Jude Hospital is a national issue. It's not about, you need a hospital for Vieux-Fort, for this, for that. Of course it's in Vieux-Fort. But St. Jude Hospital is a national issue. And so, Madam Speaker, all of us wanted to finish the hospital. But this very same government, Madam Speaker, you have also given dates. The Prime Minister was at St. Jude Hospital in June of 2017, and he said the hospital will finish by December of 2017. He promised the staff at the hospital that.
He said that?
He said that.
Oh, now you tell me that?
He said that. And I dare him to deny it. So when you talk about people giving dates.
No, say it again, let me hear it.
No, but when yes, Premier Ministre à St. Jude, Premier Ministre à St. Jude, et qui dit c'est mouna en juin l'année passée, 2017, il dit c'est mouna l'hôpital là qui fini, ils ont mis tout financing, ils ont mis meeting avec le Ministry of Finance, et l'hôpital là qui fini en décembre 2017.
Après ça, je comprends.
And so when you talk about dates, And so when you talk about dates, I don't believe, Madam Speaker, that members opposite or the Prime Minister and so on. I personally don't believe, Madam, I personally believe that everybody wants to ensure that we have a good hospital. So I'm not debating whether this side doesn't want to have a good hospital. I believe you too want to have a good hospital. I believe that. I believe that the Prime Minister wants to have a good hospital. Every single member here wishes for us to have a good hospital at St. Jude. I believe that. I don't believe the reasons they are giving, though. I believe they are trying all kinds of tricks for their own reasons. But the essential point of having a good hospital, I believe everybody, the Minister for Health, everybody, we debate issues. But I believe everybody wants a good hospital. But don't come here and say we give dates and you always do it and so on. So, but you all give dates. You all give dates. Madam Speaker, they were so sure, Madam Speaker, that in August of 2017, they handed over the morgue to the board of the hospital. A confused government, Madam Speaker. They stopped works. They stopped works in July of 2016. By June of 2017, the Prime Minister is saying we'll finish in December of 2017. By August of 2017, they are so sure, they are so macho and thing. They're handing over parts of the hospital that they say is not good. They're handing it over to the St. Jude board. What kind of government is that? You don't like the hospital, you think it's marshy, but you're handing over the morgue to the board? And you're handing over the morgue to the board? In August of 2017, Madam Speaker, if you stop the hospital, you don't believe it's good at all. How are you handing over a part of it to the board? Yeah. How you hand over a part of the hospital to the board? And in September of that same year, in August, they handed over a part. And in September of that same year, the Minister for Health said, we're demolishing it. So it's very clear, Madam Speaker, that while I believe everybody wants a hospital, this side have their own ideas for what they want to do with the hospital. I believe it has to do with the DSH. I put it to you, Madam Speaker, it may have to do with the equine disease-free zone. Maybe the hospital is in the equine disease-free zone, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, laugh. Laugh. And so, Madam Speaker, I say to you that the members on the other side continue to give unsubstantiated information. They continue to try to pull the wool over the eyes of St. Lucians. This motion, Madam Speaker, presents no detailed explanations. And I agree with my colleague from Denry North. Of course, we've come to the House before to deal with this kind of thing. And the member for Castries South East and others who were in the Parliament during the last term, remember that. And if you go to Hansard, Madam Speaker, you will see how many lines and pages of debate that the member for Castries South East has about not coming details and so on. You'll see how many lines, and today he acts as if, what are you all quarreling about? What are you thinking about? That's an ordinary thing. The Prime Minister said for salaries and other things. Can you tell us the $37,500,000 on the Bank of St. Lucia? Presque $40 million, Madam Speaker. Will it repair the schools? Well, oh, I forgot, we don't have a curriculum yet. Because to repair the schools, you must have a curriculum. Utter nonsense, Madam Speaker. Utter nonsense. And that's the kind of thing we have in this country. When the Prime Minister says, to repair the schools, you must have a curriculum. That's nonsense. And I say so forcefully as a former teacher, not former, as a teacher, and a former school principal. Nonsense. That's what goes out. $6 million from the Bank of Nova Scotia. What is it for? $4 million from the First Caribbean International Bank. Is it to pay for the infrastructure for DSH? We have to move the garbage dump. Is that what it's for? Is it the garbage dump that they're moving to Larry Truett, Grace in Vieux-Fort North or to Labrie? Is that what it is? Est-ce que ça c'est l'argent pour payer, pour tirer Zordia, Boss Stadium like mette en Larry Truett, bolo vieux glace là, en tout sable là? Ou bien est-ce que c'est pour mettre là-bas, oui? Madam Speaker, I'm not the one who introduced those issues in the debate. But I must respond to them. Is it to build a road that is the track that is currently being constructed at the DSH site that will obviously cross the road, which takes people to Grace in Vieux-Fort North, and nobody has told the people of Grace where they're going to pass? And the track has actually been graded, skipping the road so you can actually see where the track will pass. And nobody has found it fitting to tell the people of Vieux-Fort North or Larry Sous or the people who travel that road where they're going to pass. Chimia ka fait avec personne, moun ki ka ale Agouas, ka ale Larry Sous, maman l'école, personne. Gouvernement pour qu'on vini dire ces moun nan, zéro blanc, zéro noir, c'est là chimia ka passé. And people laugh at those things. People just glibly laugh at those things, Madam Speaker. And we are expected to just, as parliamentary representatives, the parliamentary rep for Vieux-Fort South, that road crosses his boundary, or his constituency, leads into the constituency that I represent, and nobody, n'a pas ni pièce parole. Can you imagine that, Madam Speaker? I guess those things are very, very mundane because we are stupid people. We St. Lucians must be stupid people because the Prime Minister and his team can just make roads, tracks in areas that our people have traversed for decades and decades, and nobody says a thing. It's like, you shut up. You're not part of the 43%. You keep quiet. I urge the government, Madam Speaker, to change course on this matter and to change course in the way they're handling these things. You're talking about people. Maka play their gouvernement pour dire ces moun Vieux-Fort North là, Vieux-Fort South là. Qui côté chimé yo kay passé? Et pour le gouvernement, moi, l'idée, ça pas veut dire rien. Parce que nous pas moun. Nous plus bas par ces animaux. And for those things, Madam Speaker, I guess the record will continue to show that the members opposite take this for papi show. Is it to replace the water lines and the electricity? Is it to demolish the stadium? L'année à moun à la team UWP qui dit stadium là pas pour vieux fort parce que c'est moun nan qui brise stadium là pas c'est pas un South là yo ka wete. The stadium should not be in Vieux-Fort because the people who matter, the real people don't live down there. But I guess it's for St. Lucians to decide on those things. We just report them and remind people of what they see and how they think of us. We don't really matter. Even though we produce some of the best athletes in the country and some of the best cricketers, we don't really matter. You don't need a stadium. Theo Akin can just mash that up. And those things don't matter.
That's the builder.
There is $2.8 million, Madam Speaker, from the Royal Bank of Canada What are we doing with it? Is it for medication for cancer patients at our hospitals? The supplies to the hospitals? All of the bed sheets that the member for Mikunov before the elections went to St. Jude and put on social media and TV and to show them. Have we replaced those bed sheets at St. Jude's? Yes, I remember. I have the record. Have we done that? And is that what it's for? The 2.5 million from the First National Bank of St. Lucia Limited. What is it going to be used for the transfer of Boseju for the 350 acres to somewhere in Miku or somewhere like that? Or a new meat processing facility that they say costs $11 million and they know that ain't true at all? Or is it going to be used to assist the banana farmers even more? Even though you say the exports increased by 200%, I know that ain't true at all. You see, that's the mode of the government. They just say things, hyperbole, and it's going to work. Because our exports of bananas increased by 200% to England. Like the others, I'll tell you, I went to modern preschool, and I know that maths well. So is that what it's for? So it is not as simple as people make it out to be, Madam Speaker. C'est pas by simple. Parce que manière gouvernement ka ale, to leave people out, to dismiss you like you don't matter. They want us to simply come and just rubber stamp it, even though we have been to the House before. And when those motions came to the House before, they were exposed to the same level of scrutiny as the member for Mikunov when she was leader of the opposition. They were exposed to the same manner or even deeper scrutiny. So don't tell us we should just, we're making as if we should just pass it. It's our responsibility, Madam Speaker. And I assure you that while we are not against borrowing, we want to ensure, Madam Speaker, that the borrowing is done for purposes that are important, healthcare, and to ensure that the government does not continue to make us feel or try to make us feel as if we don't matter. And all of the debate about DSH and all of those kinds of things, that we don't matter. Just keep quiet and let T.O. King come and bulldoze your land and take away everything and take away your beach. You're going to put skyscrapers on Maria Islet and all of that kind of foolishness. And the Prime Minister says, yes. I can tell you, Madam Speaker, that's foolishness. There'll be no skyscrapers on Maria Island. Not ever. There'll be no skyscrapers. Those foolish pictures that you showed, that will not happen. I can guarantee him that there'll be no skyscrapers on Sandy Beach. I can guarantee him that. And just as generations of the past fought for their lands, we are going to fight for our lands, Madam Speaker. If he's accustomed of just getting things like it's his supermarket, that he can discard things and do what he wants, there'll be no skyscrapers on Maria Islet. And there'll be no causeway to Maria Islet, Madam Speaker. As the Member of Parliament for Vieux-Fort North and as a Vieux-Fortian and a St. Lucian, I'm telling him there'll be no causeway to Maria Islet. None. So he can say correct as much as he wants. If he thinks he can just yank his way through the foolishness that he's doing, it's not going to happen. Not with our land. So, Madam Speaker, there are times when you need to draw the line. And the little piece of land I have at Pierrot that I bought, if somebody just decides to come and put something on it, I'm going to draw a serious line. And where DSH is concerned, and all of the glitzy pictures that I've seen on the beaches that I spent my childhood looking for almonds and running behind Tululu crabs, there ain't going to be no concrete buildings on it. I'm telling you. So when we come here and the member for Castries South is speak about DSH in terms as if it's papi show, they want to papi show us. DSH is not a thing about changing the marketing board and making it private, Madam Speaker. DSH say pas about ça. DSH say about la vie nous. DSH say about la vie nous. And so, Madam Speaker, I say, as I end, that there are times in politics when your tenure in the parliament has to be defined by historic moments in the time. There are times like that in the politics. When you have to decide that sitting around this table ain't worth much compared to what you have to go through if you live the rest of your life in Bellevue or Peru or Grace. The Prime Minister and some of them can live anywhere in the world. Just like they send their children to school anywhere in the world. They ain't going to worry about fixing primary schools in St. Lucia. Their children don't have to sit and let rain wet them from the galvanized roof, Madam Speaker. And so when you say that, they say, oh, it's a personal attack. Oh, it's a personal attack. It's not a personal attack, it's reality. It's the reality. The children don't have to endure that. Or when the wind rustles through the galvanized, teachers are running to get buckets of water to put. And I'm not saying it's his fault. That's not what I'm saying. Because schools need repairs throughout the time. We did some, governments did some. I'm not blaming him. But what I'm saying, Madam Speaker, there are times in the politics you have to stand up in the moment of the time. And when I see them publish all DSH, I'm standing up in the moment of this time. And I'm saying, none. You see that foolishness they're talking about? You see that? And yes, I'm visibly upset. Because your patrimony and your pain, there are times you have to get upset. And you see for DSH, and things on Maria Island and on the beach where we played as children, where if you don't have a public facility, it's not a public beach, they are beginning to set the stage to tell you that your beach doesn't belong to you. So if it doesn't have a public facility, it's not public. So it's not yours. They're beginning to break you down, chop you down, to want to eat you up. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. I don't have to be in this parliament. I don't have to be. I don't have to be. But those things ain't happening. These things are not happening. And so, I say, Madam Speaker, that borrowing needs to happen, but all of the debate that came out of it, and DSH and all of those kinds of things, my response to it is that everything that is St. Lucian, tut bagay ki bagay St. Lucie, that is what they're attacking. Every single thing that is St. Lucian. And the day will come when every single one of us, those of us who spent this term in the parliament, will have to account, every single one of us, to our grandchildren and our children in terms of what we did to them with DSH and all of those foolish things that will be given over to everybody. So you all can laugh if you want to. You can laugh. I've stopped laughing. Thank you, Madam.